We're really excited to have you here today for our Composting 101 workshop. And we're just going to start off with a few words. This will be the short part of the program. And then we have some stations set up, and we would love for people to come by and ask questions and get more information about composting. My name is Gretchen Stiers. I'm the chair of the Eastham Recycling Committee. And this workshop is sponsored both by the Recycling Committee and the Climate Action Committee. So we're really happy to have members of both of those committees have worked together to put this together today. And I'm here today representing many of you may know that the town of Eastham is now accepting residential compost at the landfill center. You do have to have a sticker to come in to use the recycling, garbage, compost, all of that. But if you do that and you're interested in composting, I can answer questions about how the town has set that up. But I want to turn things over to Olav, who is going to just talk a little bit about composting in general to get us started. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Gretchen. I also want to recognize Roberta Longley, who is the chair of the Climate Action Committee. So again, a collaboration between the Climate Action and the Recycling Committee. What I wanted to talk about is I know very little about individual composting, doing it yourself. So there's going to be a lot of information to gather from the different kinds of composting that are on the tables. So this is kind of an interactive process. What I wanted to focus a little bit on is the why are we doing it? And there's many reasons to do it. It could be fun. You could create your own nutrients. You don't have to go and purchase fertilizer and that sort of thing. There's a lot of benefits locally to that. But there's also a huge climate component to this. We all know about climate change and just all the different types of things that contribute to it. And I think a lot of people think that, hey, climate change is about somebody else will invent something to solve that problem for us. And I think a lot of experts and a lot of people I work in an energy space, and a lot of folks are beginning to sort of think that we do need to have some skin in the game ourselves. And so composting is a very good way to get involved at a local level with stuff that you can do on your own without having to wait for a contractor to give you, to quote you heat pumps or whatever it may be. There's many good ideas, and we're working on those on the Climate Action Committee. But just think about, the food waste itself. It represents 8 to 10% of all of the emissions, and there's twice as much emissions from food waste than there is from aviation, for instance. And at the same time, we have folks that have food insecurities. And so, there's a misbalance in many different ways, but here you have a misbalance between we have too much food and there's folks that don't have food at all. If you look at waste, I think the number, people are suggesting that there is roughly 30% of the waste that we put out in the trash is food waste. And so the idea would be to try to prevent that from getting into the landfill so that we can prevent methane gas from essentially, causing, problems with, in the atmosphere. Methane gas is, is a very potent greenhouse gas. It's a short-lived gas too, so it has potential implications on. You probably heard about the 1.5 degree warming or the 2 degree warming. It basically creates, there's a chance that, we may overshoot that and create these feedback loops. So methane, is a gas that is essentially the, part of the problem with food waste in landfills. Let's see. I think this is probably the one thing that, will kind of put it in perspective. If food waste was a country, it would be the third largest emitter of emissions after China and the United States. And so it's a pretty significant thing. And we're not here talking, saying that composting is going to solve all of that. There's many different sort of paths and many different avenues that has been used to study this and to develop the science around it. But it is a significant piece, and if we can, we can't do everything, but I think this is a quote from an introduction section from the Climate Action Committee. We cannot do everything the plant needs, but everything we do, the plant needs. And so I think that resonated with me when I first came here to an introduction session. And here's a picture, and from the transfer station. This is where the composting bins are set up. So that's available right now. If you're interested in digging into a little bit more about climate science and climate action, there's a lot of interesting information. I'm particularly using this Project Drawdown. And the reason why I like them is because they are focusing on things we can do today. It's not like we're waiting for something to be invented. We're not waiting for cold fusion. It's available today. And they've ranked the 100 most effective things that we can do. And you can see here at the 2-degree scenario, reduced food waste is practically, that's number 1. It's way ahead of EVs and other types of things. And if you look at the 1.5-degree scenario, it's number 4. There's a difference between the scenarios because one scenario requires, plant-rich diets, is one way to sort of go after the food system in terms of waste and things like that. So the different scenarios have different values because there's other priorities that like, for instance, methane capture in landfills is another way to get rid of the methane. So, so they're balancing different types of solutions to come up with that. The top chart there is one of my favorites. It kind of gives you a sense of the sources and the sinks. And the key is that there's a misbalance between the emissions on the left side and what is being absorbed on the right side in land sinks and coastal and ocean sinks. And so you have about a 59% sort of misbalance, which is just basically there to heating up the atmosphere. I would recommend, there's a book that was written called the Project Drawdown. A couple of years old, it's already outdated because so much science is being added to it. So go online and check that out. That's an interesting thing. And as you can see, food waste, addressing food waste is a big part of that. So that's it. Then I think we're going to be, focusing on, the different tables. We have vermiculture over here. We have open pile, and then we have this Lumi machine that basically turns things into compost. So that's all I had. Thank you. Thank you. Then I'll.